This program deals with themes of an adult nature and is intended for a mature audience.
If you like what you watch, then don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates on the KTPF Community Talk Show. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for our new weekly radio shows. To accompany the KTPF Community Talk Show, we now have our own free magazine to view online or download for free. Visit our website for more details. Also, the KTPF Community Talk Show is supported by Phenomenon Magazine and Beyond Parazine, available online now. The comments and views expressed on the KTPF Community Talk Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the views of ourselves or of our sponsors.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They've landed.
You're in the right place. Online, on the web, and on air. All over the world.
Talk Radio.
You hear us, we hear you.
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the KTPF Community Talk Show, live and uncensored from Manchester at www.ktpf.co.uk, broadcasting on KTPF Radio, Worsley Radio and DM Radio in New Jersey, USA. My name is Suzanne.
And I'm Steve.
And we're here keeping the paranormal friendly each and every Sunday. So pull up a chair and relax with us while we bring you a show full of the supernatural, the paranormal, and other strange phenomena. Don't forget you can use our chat room where you can connect via Facebook, Twitter, Google, Yahoo, or register to chat with yourself. So this is where you join us every Sunday and get involved with the show and meet many interesting people. Okay, so we've got a few people in the chat room at the moment. So hi to everyone there, Felix and Brendan. And if you're wondering where Andy is, he went away for the weekend and he hasn't come back.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet. So whether he'll turn up halfway through the show, I don't know. But we'll see what happens. So just to let you know what's happening tonight, we have the return of Derek Acorah. Derek Francis Johnson was born in Liverpool on the 27th of January 1950. He later changed his surname to what he stated was his grandmother's maiden name, Acorah. Derek is, without question, the #1 psychic in the UK, bridging the gap between the niche cult shows to mainstream talk shows which rely on personality and the ability to capture the imagination. So, has Andy been abducted by aliens? I'm not sure. He went to Glastonbury. So, he could be abducted by somebody.
Yeah, the hippies have got him.
So, over the years, Derek's television appearances have made him one of Britain's most popular and best-known mediums, resulting in consistent sell-out shows throughout the UK. And we'll be talking to Derek at 8:30 this evening. Oh, the man has arrived.
Would that be Andy, man?
Yeah, that was me hoping I was going to have a short show today. Good evening, Andy.
Oh, I'll go away then.
I did try ringing you.
Yes, no point. I kicked the machine on as soon as I got in the door, but because it takes about half an hour to set itself up these days, this old computer, the one I use for the show, so I wasn't quite there, but I'm here now.
Yeah. Did you have a nice day?
Yes, we had a nice, lovely weekend. I'll say a bit more about it a bit later on, but yeah, I had a really good weekend down in the West Country, recovering after a month's work. So, sit back and relax, listen to the show. I mean, no, I'll carry on with the show. I'll just be here listening.
That was me thinking, well, if you don't come back, we'll have a short show today, so brilliant.
We have got Starship.
And then I saw you come up on Skype, and I thought, oh, he's back. That blows all my plans out the window.
Well, we've been travelling, obviously, most of this afternoon, so I'm happy with a short show as well. So I'm quite tired now.
Yeah, Sue was going to say, hello, everybody. Hello, Derek. Goodbye. Good night.
Derek, talk for 20 minutes. See you later.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so it could be a short show tonight because we're not just to let you know, we are not talking about Most Haunted, okay? If you are interested in the Most Haunted years, then I suggest that you go to our YouTube page, okay, and look up Derek Acorah, which was actually recorded back in March 2013, where he tells everything, okay, or as much as he can at the time. But it was an interesting conversation. If you haven't listened to it, I suggest you do. But because that was over 10 years ago, we're not going to be talking about Most Haunted. So we're just going to be talking about a little bit beforehand on how he started and then what he's been up to since Most Haunted and what his plans are and everything. So,
And likes.
Okay. So good evening, David. Nice to see you there. So that's what the plan is tonight. So I'm glad you're there, Andy. Honest, I am.
That's all right. Thanks. Yeah.
You are a bit distant. I'm really having to put my slider up to pick you up.
Oh dear, put your slider down.
I'll put my slider down.
Is that any better?
Bit more.
Is that any better now?
That's better.
I lowered the gain after.
Oh no, you've you've gone back again. Come back.
I lowered the gain on the microphone because last week we were having strange noises, weren't we? So
He's all right here.
Is he? I can hardly hear him.
can you hear me now, Mother?
I can just about hear you.
Yeah, you're coming out all right on the radio anyway.
The levels on my little machine here, the microphone, are coming up quite high, so it must be your end. Oh.
Must be. Perhaps me amp needs turning off and turn it back on again.
Yeah.
So, either that,
Yeah.
or it's Sam. Maybe it's Sam.
Oh, yes.
Right, so I'm going to hand you over to Steve without any further ado.
Adieu.
So,
Over to you. Adieu.
ado.
Well, there's your first little link there. I saw this on FB and wasn't going to bring it up, but I thought, yeah, why not? Okay, here we go. Paranormal investigators may well be jumping with excitement after a creeped-out Lincoln Cathedral tourist claimed he videoed a ghost darting across the heights of the building. IT engineer Paul Jackson, 46, from Lincoln, is no stranger to filming fast-moving objects, with his video hobby usually focusing on the county's aviation events. His latest footage, taken during the rooftop cathedral tour with his son, however, filled him with dread when he realised he'd filmed a spectre-like object. Paul said, for a while, I'd been creating videos for YouTube for my main hobbies, filming aviation around the country, and when I go to metal detecting and anything creative like that, he says, I decided it would be great to put together a short video of Lincoln Cathedral and booked ourselves on a roof tour. We went on the tour in February, and tonight I decided to put the footage together, and while checking each clip, happened to notice something pass across the Willis organ. Then I zoomed in on my video editing software. I cannot explain what it is. This object appears to climb the wall of one of the south fencing towers and then pass across the Willis organ and then behind the red flag and illuminate the wall and disappear. While we were up there, I never noticed anything at all until I watched the footage tonight. I've always been sceptical about paranormal goings on, but I cannot explain this. Paul's YouTube video has already been viewed by more than 1,000 times, with many hazarding their own guesses at what could explain the strange object. Well, I had a look, as you may have guessed, and it looks very flat and could be a torchlight, but would have thought that would have been seen at the time.
What do you think, Andy?
I can just see the picture itself at the moment, the one that's at the start of the clip. I'm just about to stick it on. The one I saw at the clip looked Oh, I've got it running now.
Yeah, when it shows you normal time and then it shows you slowed up and zoomed in.
Was that a classic orb to me? Just a bit of dust.
An orb.
I would say.
It's like everything else. It's hard to tell how close these things are, but it is an interesting clip. Interesting, we say to ourselves. Here we go. Yes.
Now, watching it again at that sort of speed, that just looks like it's a light anomaly, but possibly. I mean, I've caught things like that before that I would say were definitely just orb dust. I don't think it's anything too spectacular, but I could be wrong.
David Warren says it's unusual.
It does seem to self-illuminate on the wall there as it comes up near the end at least, but which would, to me, make it worth looking at from other views, perspectives and the likes. Okay, there's your next one.
And while you're doing that, I just got to say a quick hello to JW.
Hello, JW. And I bet Vicky's there listening for Derek.
Yep, she will be.
Yep, Derek's greatest fan in Norwich.
Yes.
Okay, Rebecca's psychic sense might have saved her life one night on a dark stretch of road. I was raised in a small town in Kentucky along a very large part of my mum's family. Another part of my mum's family lived in Louisville, and moved back and forth between the two. During one of the times, my mum lived in Louisville and I was married at the time, still living in the small town I grew up in. I drove to spend the day with her and had to get back home as it was starting to get dark and I had close to 60 miles to drive. I decided that in order to avoid the traffic and the lights on the main highway, I would take a back road that ran along the flood wall. There was about a 5-mile stretch along the flood wall that is isolated and very dark at night. So needless to say, I was stepping on it. As I was about midway of the flood wall, where it was deserted, I saw a teenage girl hitchhiking along. My first concern was something awful happened to her, so I thought I would pick her up. I started slowing down and I heard a sound in my head that resembled an explosion, and I started feeling that was close to panic. I don't remember stepping on the gas to bypass her, but my car suddenly gained speed. I was so scared, and at the same time, I didn't know why. All I could think of was to put distance between us and as fast as I could. When I looked in my rearview mirror at her, I saw 2 other people, both male, climb out of a ditch, which couldn't have been seen from the road. I couldn't determine their age or anything, only that we were dirty and male. I am 48 years old now, and after all these years, I wonder what the sound in my head was and what would have happened if I'd stopped to pick her up. Would I be here today? Interesting bit there, isn't it? You quite often get these little warnings, but they don't usually sound like an explosion in your head.
Well, no, not really. I mean, you get that kind of weird popping candy that sounds like explosion in your head, but I don't suppose you had any of that.
Yeah. But either way, it seemed it possibly saved a life.
Maybe.
Nice to know people are listening to these things in their head, even if they're not sure why.
Yes, it's if they tell you good, nice things, then listen to them. They tell you nasty things, don't listen. That's all I basically say to people.
David Warren says it's a really nice place in Lincoln. If you haven't been there before, to go and have a look.
No, I've not been.
Me neither. Okay, this is my last van because there is very little out there unless I was going to go silly with UFOs, and this is the UFOs it is. A couple were left stunned after they spotted what they believed was a UFO while in bed. Where was he? In the garden? Terence McDonald, 31, with his girlfriend Natasha Samuels, 27, when they sighted the mysterious flying object over their home in Enfield, North London. When we looked closer, we realised it was actually a UFO, said Terence, who works as a chef. Terence claimed he first saw the UFO around a year ago, but dismissed it as a bright star. But he noticed the bright light in the sky kept appearing at night, and on a closer inspection, he has come to the conclusion that it is actually a UFO. After several attempts to capture his sighting on camera, he finally snapped it and uploaded it to YouTube. Terence added, "I've mentioned the UFO to my friends in the area, and some of them say that they've seen it as well. I've got friends as far away as Tottenham who've also seen it. It's definitely an alien because you can see a figure in the craft." Well, I didn't see the figure in the graph, but it's definitely a very interesting video. But once again, it's a light source in a black sky, and no way for us to see how big or how far away it is, as there was nothing else to be seen.
That really makes life very difficult to judge anything, doesn't it?
It does, but it does look like a very interesting piece of footage anyway. It definitely looks reminiscent of a craft from Star Wars, actually. Not Star Wars, Star Trek.
Just having a look, the video, as usual for me, the video refuses to work, so I can't tell anything. Interesting is over Enfield, though, which Enfield, of course, is very famous for something else.
Yes. Have you seen...
Oh, got it now, I can see it.
Yeah. Have you seen the Star Trek one where it's the young Captain Kirk?
No. Is that which version of Star Trek is that from?
That's the new movies.
Yes, absolutely.
It's starting from a young Kirk, isn't it?
It's almost the reboot, isn't it?
Yeah.
You mean like yeah.
You know the square shuttle type craft. It looks a bit like that.
Yeah.
So
it certainly looks intriguing, but again, it's hard to tell anything because there's no sense of size, scale, or distance. The lights look odd, but then it could be because it's very out of focus. It's really hard to tell. And it's very short clip as well, isn't it? It's all out of...
It is, and I definitely can't see any aliens in it.
No, I don't know what
I don't know where he gets that one from, but
yes.
I do like the video, though. It is very interesting, and I would say maybe worth doing a bit more of a sky watch in that area.
Definitely.
Speaking of Skywatch, we went through Warminster on the way back today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so we took a detour to sort of visit somewhere.
Yeah.
And suddenly realised, what's this town we're driving through? Is Warminster. And I've never actually been there before. I must admit, I don't know why, but I thought it was somewhere out north. I have to be honest. And suddenly looked at the map and thought, well, what is it? Is it the same Warminster? I quickly hit my phone to make sure. And yeah, it's the same Warminster. Very quiet town, not much else about. There's no kind of UFO pubs or UFO cafes that you get in Roswell or anything like that. It's just a nice sort of medium-sized town. But needless to say, I didn't see any UFOs. But it's interesting because either side you've got some sort of hills and open sort of land. And you do think maybe that... it's kind of Earthlights type stuff was what they're observing rather than nuts and bolts spaceship, which I'm not really a big fan of the idea of nuts and bolts spaceship, but certainly the strange phenomena that it could well be linked to that because I must confess I've now got Andy Collins' Earthlights book, which does talk about this kind of stuff, which I have had in the past and read some of and not got at the moment, but I've now reacquired it. So I should reread the section that's on Warminster in there because. As you were saying last time with our Warminster guest, I am quite a big proponent of the idea that we're talking about Earth lights, Earth energy are being seen rather than spaceships from other planets. And I think our guest was kind of alluding to those sort of ideas, and certainly that's what Collins's writings allude to again, this notion of these being potentially intelligent energies, but certainly Earth energy manifesting in the sky rather than spaceships from other worlds. So it's interesting going through there.
Was that your last one, Steve?
It was indeed.
Okay, I have a two-penneth.
Oh, no.
Paranormal investigators say they believe the land surrounding the... Okay.
What happened?
Oh, what happened there?
The something. It seems to be missing. Where more than 360... Let me just see if I can Google this. Bear with me, because there seems to be some text missing. Let me try this again.
Do you have a link?
No.
Oh.
Because there wasn't much there. Because right. There it is. There is a link, but there's not much there to actually show, so that's why I'm not showing the link. Because it's a prelude to another article that's coming up this week. But as I was about to say... before I was so rudely lost my words because it seemed to have disappeared. Paranormal investigators say they believe the land surrounding the former Oaks Colliery, where more than 360 miners were killed 150 years ago is cursed and haunted by dark energy, which could have contributed to the disaster. Medium Mark Smith is the lead investigator for Paranormal X, a team founded last year which performs various paranormal investigations and ghost hunts. Last Friday night, Mark and 2 colleagues went to the former Barnsley main pit head and the area, and they believed formed the entrance to the Oaks Colliery, and used a Ouija board and various electronic equipment to try and communicate with spirit. Now that's all that's in the article, apart from read more next week. Yeah. But if you didn't know about it, the Oaks explosion occurred at the Oaks Colliery near Starefoot, Barnsley, West Ridings of Yorkshire, on the 12th of December 1866, killing more than 380 miners and rescuers. The disaster happened after a series of explosions caused by flammable gases ripped through the workings. It remained the worst colliery or mining disaster in England and the second worst mining accident in the United Kingdom after the Welsh, now I hope I pronounce this right, but I probably won't, Welsh Sengwenid colliery disaster in 1913, which claimed 439 lives. It was not until 1913 that a memorial was erected to Parkin Jeffcock and the others who died. So as I say, there's not much there of the investigation because it says read more in this week's Barnsley Chronicle. So we'll look out for that and see what they find for next week. But that was my little two-penneth.
I see.
So, on the subject of UFOs,
yes,
I had an invite to a paranormal page today on Facebook by Jim Penniston.
Oh, right, yeah. Blimey.
Yeah. So I'm wondering whether the Rendlesham is kicking off again.
It's one of those places, I think, because certain people whose names we may or may not mention kind of make money out of the whole gambit, the whole adventure, then they will probably try to keep pushing it back into the limelight. There's probably some kind of talks coming up or some kind of something along those lines, or all-day event or UFO conference, and want to keep the public interested in the story because, of course, it's keeping them paying for their bills. So, but I don't necessarily have a problem with that. So
no, it's entirely up to them. It's just that it's just a shame that things like Warminster, events like Warminster, are being pushed out of the public eye. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the problem we have is because, like Roswell, Rendlesham was a sort of a series of events over only a few days, or in Roswell's case, a single event, obviously. With Warminster, we're talking about a much longer period of time, a protracted number of sightings and unusual phenomena over a period of time. So there's not a particular thing you can focus on. You can have your Warminster discussion, and as we were saying last time we were talking about, you don't have this and this happened. You don't have a blow-by-blow account because it wasn't any blow-by-blow events. It was just a series of odd light anomalies primarily that were inexplicable and certainly very, very odd. But there was nothing that was like concrete, like a spaceship supposedly landing and weird numbers and figures appearing, all that kind of thing you have with Rendlesham, or the potential with Roswell of actual alien bodies being taken away by the military, etc. You don't have that. So that's why I think that's one of the reasons why I think Warminster's kind of gone under the radar a little bit, because it's not as intense. It's not focused on a very short period, but nevertheless, it's a very fascinating story. And I've suddenly realised, rather annoyingly, that when I go to Glastonbury, there are 2 very good second-hand bookshops, and there was a book on Warminster UFOs, the Shuttleworth's book, in the bloody window, and I forgot about it. I actually wanted to buy it, and I completely forgot.
I don't know.
Trouble is, I go into the bookshop and I think it's that and that in the window. We'll never look. I get inside. There's more I want to look at inside. And I'm busy browsing through. I know the manager quite well. We chat for ages, and I completely forget. I've forgotten it. I might even give a ring tomorrow and see if it's open and see if it's still there. If I can order it online.
Yeah, we've seen you browsing through a bookshop.
Yes, you can leave me in a shop all day. I'll be there quite happily. So.
I don't know.
Yes. Before we move on. After all, it is Mother's Day, so a happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Yes, happy Mother's Day.
Hope your young ones, or not so young ones, have spoil you today.
And all those mothers that have passed, a happy Mother's Day to them as well.
Yes, indeed. I've got 2, so I'm all right.
So
That's just being greedy.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. So
Yeah, so what have you guys been doing? As I've not really spoken to you this week, you've been quite busy in other bits and bobs. Anything happening?
we went away for a couple of days, as you know.
Oh, of course, yes. That's why you were so quiet, of course. I forgot that.
And
Yes, we went to a place where there was no internet.
no internet.
At least not for us.
Yes.
Lovely. Where did you go? Out to Mongolia?
No.
Well, we had it on our phones, but very limited. But
yes,
my auntie hasn't got internet, so
Lord, it's
So-
last century.
and no as the people around her.
no. So basically, we were very limited. But we end up going to a rock and roll do and met a
very
couple of met a couple of band members from other groups. So that was interesting. So
Oh, that was good.
what was good?
No, that was good. Oh, that was good.
So possibly more people to interview for my other show. So yes,
Are
not
you
too
doing
bad at all.
interviews on it then?
Pardon?
You do interviews on your other show?
Occasionally, yes.
5-minute interviews, yeah.
Oh, right. Obviously, perhaps I could do something like that. Most of the people music I play aren't English, so it's hard for me to actually find people to talk to.
So yes, 5-minute interviews.
For the for the
just a
people
quick one, if my landlady from the weekend, Carrie's listening, hello. She was asking about the show and stuff, so I was telling her about it and how to tune in, so hopefully she's listening. So hello, Carrie, if you're listening, this is the show.
Hello, Kerry.
Yes.
So, but yeah, it wasn't too bad. So, but I hate being without internet. I'll be honest with you.
Oh, I know that. It's bizarre, isn't it? The Glastonbury, where I've just come back from, it's quite surprising. You find all down the high street, you find places and you're standing and there's no internet. You think, that's weird, in the middle of a high street, middle of a town, but there's no internet. So it is strange, really.
And the worst thing about it was, about an hour after we left on the road, I got a message on Facebook saying, can you resend me the show for this Saturday because WeTransfer has run out.
Oh, blunt.
So I'm just glad I got back in time.
I hope he's got mine, because I sent mine. I'll find out tomorrow night.
I'm sure he has.
Make sure he's got mine.
So yes, it was. He said I went to get it and it had run out. Never mind. Right. Anyway, back to paranormal. So see, we do have other lives. You see.
Yeah.
Just letting you know that we're not all paranormal infatuated. So
Sue and I have our own little music shows that you couldn't get more opposite different as if you tried. Hers
No.
1950s music, mine's modern electronic music. So
there
very,
you go.
very different.
Right, let's get the man on, I suppose.
Indeed.
Let's find him. Add person to call. Let's hope this works. Derek Acorah. Add to call. Let's hope I punched his number in right via Skype. I hate it when it's +4s. Oh, it's ringing, so that's good. He is there. I've already spoken to Gwen.
Oh, okay.
That's if I've put the number in.
Hello?
Hello, is that Derek?
Yes.
Oh, thank God for that.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Derek?
I'm good.
Good. And how's Gwen?
She's fine. She's lovely.
Has she had a lovely Mother's Day?
Yes, she's had a fabulous Mother's Day.
Oh,
we
brilliant.
went out last evening with our Janie, my daughter, my son-in-law, my grandson. The reason why we couldn't celebrate it today was because of the logistics and stuff that was going on in their lives. We had a fabulous evening, and yeah, it was gorgeous.
Brilliant. I'm glad about that. So it's nice to have you back on the show, Derek. We've missed you.
Yeah, it's really good.
Right. Now, just to let you know, since we last spoke back in 2013,
Yeah.
it's been that long,
Yes.
we now have listeners in America.
Have
Okay,
you?
yes. So can you start off by just recapping a little bit about yourself for our new listeners?
Can I do what, say?
Can you just recap for us a bit about yourself for our new listeners?
Yeah. Okay. You want to start saying, let me go through away from my dogs.
Okay.
Because they'll start barking the moment I get all excited talking about my work. Because that's what happens. Excuse me, Merlin. Merlin's got to get out the way. And Millie's got to get out the way.
I love it that you're so down to earth, Derek.
Pardon?
I love it that you're so down to earth.
Yeah, well, that's the way I am. That's the way God's made me. Right. I'm Derek Acorah. I work as a spiritual, clairvoyant, clairaudient medium in England. I'm very proud of what I do. I work for nearly 40 years for Spirit. I work not just for Spirit, but the people. When I work, it's a 50-50 thing. I want to see the happiness on people's faces when I can make a connection with their loved ones, whether it be a husband, a mum, a wife, a dad, a son, or anything else. It's like to let them know that their loved ones live on. That's why I work for the world of spirit.
Yeah.
And I will continue to work for them.
Right. Now, you just to recap a bit further back than that, you started picking up spirit at an early age. It was all down to your grandmother, wasn't it?
Absolutely. My grandmother was the instigator.
Yeah.
My grandmother was a medium for 50-odd years. And as a child, I didn't know, until she told me. And she told, and my mum allowed me to know that mum was a medium, a working medium. But in those days, my grandma didn't work as a medium like I do, because it just wasn't unknown.
Yeah.
My grandma was known as what we call a parlour medium.
Right, okay.
In those days, because Gran lived in an old Victorian house, Gran used to invite people round, only in the daytime, not in the evening, at certain times in the afternoon, and she would bring them into the home, sit them into the front lounge of the parlour, as they called it. And us people who were the family lived in the back. And Gran used to conduct their business, their work, doing private readings for those people. And so she was known as a parlour medium. And in those days, that's what mediums did.
Yeah.
Now, as we came forward, things changed, and mediums have become more, what's the word? Came out of the closet, and it was recognised by the media and stuff like that. And, then become onto television, well, before that, radio.
Right, okay.
Because mediums were recognised on radio before television.
But you didn't look at mediumship at first, though, did you? You wanted to be a footballer.
Yeah, I didn't want to be a medium.
No.
Well, my grandmother said to me that I had these gifts. I said, what gifts? I mean, what are you talking about, gifts? If you talked to me, like as a child, about gifts, I thought she was saying, someone's going to give something to me. And I said, what gift am I want? No, gifts inside, son. Inside where, Gran? Inside you.
Yeah.
And it took a little while. It took quite a while for me to conceive it, understand it, and what have you. But when it did, I did realise that Gran, was, and I always knew she'd never tell me lies or fibs. She's my Gran.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It took a while.
Okay, and as I say, you wanted to be a footballer, but that didn't come about. But I believe you found success in South Australia for Vertis, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah?
South Australia. Yeah, I played football. I was doing very well. I was named Player of the Year in my first season out there. Named Player of the Season in the second year. And I was doing very well. And the club actually said, because of my age, we'd like to put you into a coaching scenario.
Yeah.
And I started doing my coaching, which was fabulous. It was fun. I was never, in my mind, going to come back from Australia.
Right, okay.
I had a wife, a son.
Yeah.
Our lives were very lovely. It was a fantastic life.
Yeah.
We lived by the coast in South Australia, by the ocean. It was just absolutely gorgeous.
Mm.
But, things change, don't they?
Well, this is it. Yeah, your life gets led a different path. And yours, basically, back in 1996, it ended up on satellite TV, Granada Breeze. Wasn't that with Becky Want?
Yes, it was, with the lovely Becky Want.
That was the first time I saw you.
Yeah, Becky Want was one of the nicest souls I've ever worked with in radio, television, any of the media.
Mm.
She was just a really lovely girl.
Yeah.
She was down to earth. She was like, I got on well with her because both of us were down to earth. And she wasn't like, hey, television babe, if you like, with ego. She was a television girl, but she didn't have ego. And she was just, oh God, even to this day, she's the most beautiful person I've ever worked with.
Right, okay. Now, how did it feel about being the first medium in the UK to demonstrate live on air?
It was fantastic. There's Becky once again. She said to me, do you realise what you're doing? This was in the green room after our first show live. Do you realise what you've just done? And I said, no. She said, you've just gone live on British television, even though it's only like, a niche channel.
Yeah.
And it's only a small arm of Granada. There's going to be thousands and thousands of people who have been watching this.
Yes.
And you've done things. Look at all the calls, because they had a call centre, only one line, and the calls went crazy. So much so that Granada decided, because there was that many they couldn't cope with, they put in 2 lines. And they then decided, even then it went crazy, then that's when they changed the show from just a Friday evening to a Wednesday and a Friday.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Mm.
It was just like, oh, absolutely, I loved it.
Yeah. You did set the bar there for everybody else, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I think I did, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I've got a couple of questions in the chat room for you regarding Sam. Both of these, David Warnes and Brendan Moss has actually asked a similar question. When did the thing start with Sam? When did he first contact Sam? When did you first?
When I was a young man. I was only a teenager.
Uh-huh.
What was I then? 9, 10. I happened to be at home. It was in my own home. And my dad, who was a seafarer, he was at home. Everything was there, honky-dory, my family, mum, dad. It was either a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
I was there. At that stage of time, there was just 3 of us, children. Colin, Barbara, and me. Mum and dad. And we were all sitting in the lounge. I think it was a Sunday, actually. But anyway, rather than a Saturday. And suddenly I heard this voice saying, Derek, can you hear me? I thought, oh. Now I'm sitting in the lounge with Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
And my brother and sister. Bloody. So I heard it again. I thought, right. And I couldn't do anything other than what I did. I left the lounge, right up to the toilet. Not my bedroom, not at first. The toilet. Sat on it, locked the door, and I said, who is this? And I heard him talk to me again. Then I got out of the toilet, into the bedroom, shaking, closing my bedroom door.
Yeah.
And I spoke again. and it was him. And he told me he was my guide. It was the time to speak to me, for me to understand what I was here for. And it just like, it blew me away, actually.
Yeah, I can imagine. Brendan goes on to ask, does everybody have a guide? And if so, how does someone contact their spirit guide?
Everyone has a guide. That is the law, the spiritual law, from birth until death. Now, he's asking also, how can you make contact with? Now, the hardest thing for me to express to a person why they have not made the contact or the link with the guide like I do with Sam is because the reason is this, as it explained to me. When you're not going to work in the situation or like I do as a medium, the guys do not think it's necessary for them to become so prominent and forward like Sam is with me, unless you're actually working for spirit that way. If you're living your life and you're meant to live your life a certain way, they're not going to interfere or give you, what's the word, a situation where you can go and talk about them and you spoke this last night, this, that, and the other, because it's not important enough.
No.
However, it doesn't mean to say that you can't make a link with your guide.
Yeah.
You can do that through just simple meditation.
Okay. Right, on the subject of Sam, this is a question that Andy wanted to put forward because he didn't think he'd be back in time for the show, but he is. He's just...
I'm here, Derek.
Yeah, he's there.
Hiya.
Hiya. He was wondering about... You was wondering about if anyone ever felt Sam while standing next to him or something, wasn't it, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I'll put my questions in. Mine's based on the fact I used to do some mediumship work myself, Derek. I used to work mainly with locations. I go on like ghost hunting and events, and I describe the place that I was in rather than people. And on one particular occasion, I've often had a sense of someone with me, but they don't say anything. They never speaks to me. But two people described essentially the same figure that they'd seen around me, and others had said they'd seen around me. And I was just wondering, has anybody else seen Sam? Actually said, this is what I think he looks like, and they've been accurate.
Absolutely. How many people? So many people. Up and down the country, and it's nearly 40 years now. Blinking heck and getting on as a guy. So many people, not just mediums. So many people, or people who've got no inclination of the gifts and what have you, who said, we saw this man, they described him alongside me by, where I drink the water and so on. Oh, yes. So many, so many have seen this. And we captured that anyway on when I've got the camera on and the sound, and we've got all that information here.
Right. Well, the other follow-on question is, has anybody else communicated with him?
But Sam, yes, a couple of ladies. It's always been the ladies. I remember one night we were in, where was it now? It was in the, not that, Highlands of Scotland. I think it probably was Edinburgh. And one lady came with her daughter, stayed behind, because I always stay behind. I'm sure you know this anyway, and do signings and photographs and, little gaps for everyone. And she said, I spoke to Sam. And I said, do you? When she described him, I thought, she's telling the truth. She's saying what she's saying. And he said, Derek is now... although these things so bright and what have you, next couple of days, he's going to come down with a virus.
No.
So the old lady said to me, she was in her 80s, very beautiful lady with her daughter, who's in the 50s. And she said, you've got to take care of yourself, because Sam said, you're coming down with the virus. So she went into her bag, and she gave me these fisherman friends throat passports.
Excellent.
Oh, I thought that was wonderful. I mean, that was like just the most majestic thing that you could ever, from another human being to another, pass over.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. One thing I wanted to just point out, if you don't mind, you're particularly well known for your involvement with the phenomena Most Haunted and dubbed Mr. Most Haunted back in the day. But just for our listeners, if you want to hear about those times, please refer to our earlier interview on YouTube recorded back in March 2013. If you want, because we're not going to talk about that tonight. But after Most Haunted Years, Derek, you went on to do other projects. Derek Acorah's Ghost Towns, for instance.
Yes, I loved it.
Plus, you travelled over the world.
Yes.
One place you went to was Egypt, where you gave us an insight into the mysteries surrounding the pharaohs. What was it about Egypt that made you want to go?
Well, I'd been speaking to the heads of Living TV from day one when I first started doing Most Haunted. And they got me down to interview me. And they said, what is one of the 10 things that you want, or 12 things you want to do in your life on television, which most networks do, actually, in your life? And I wrote them all down from my home, brought them through to them. And Paranormal Egypt was number 2. And they said, why do you want to do this? And I said, because it'd be fantastic for a medium of my standing, for any medium, to be able to, if we can connect with, not just spirit loved ones, but people from bygone past. And I said between 2,000 and 5,000 years.
Yeah.
And I remember the head of Living Tea, Richard Wolf, saying, oh my God, yes. Oh my God. And before I knew it, it was developed. And we went out for 8 weeks. And we did a whole series of 8 shows. It was one of the most stunning, the most amazing experiences of my life.
I bet it was.
We went out and we checked out, about Tutankhamun, the young man that we found out how he passed over. We went to, through the Egyptian government, locked off doors at the Egyptian, what do they call it, in Cairo, the place where they got every mummified body of anything that's ever been in the history of Egypt, and it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable how many mummified bodies, but they didn't know who they were or where.
No.
And so, I was allowed to go in a day and an evening, and when I was, it was unbelievable. They had the Egyptian army, the Egyptian police, the special forces, and they also had the local police with dogs. And when we went in the evening, about 9 o'clock at night, dark at night, till 6 in the morning, they wanted me to find the only woman.
Yeah.
They didn't know whether she was in there. The only woman that become a pharaoh.
God.
Who, in other words, copied the male, just become the pharaoh.
Sure.
And it was unbelievable. And we found her. Sam pointed me to her. We're talking about rooms. These rooms were something like, 40 foot high. And there was something like, these things that carried these mummified bodies. Something up like 50 at a time.
Mm.
It was unbelievable. It was just, and I remember saying to Sam, I don't know what to do here. And he said, leave it to me. And he took me walking. And we went and we walked around it. And we came to this point that was very close to like a major door. And he said, she's there. And I said, where? So next to the bottom one. And I looked up and there was something like, 40-odd cases of these, coffins, if you like.
Yeah.
She's there. So when I said, now, at that time, we had 6 governmental from Egypt, top brass there. We had about 3 or 4 Egyptian, what do they call them now? Like Dr. Hamas,
right,
who's the head of the the people. Egyptian...
The archaeologists?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And they said, okay, so there's all kinds of workers coming in front of me, and this was about 4:30 in the morning. And they said, get them down now, oh, shouting at people. Anyway, they got down to it, and they brought this, I call them sarcophaguses and whatever, they call them whatever they call them.
Yeah, sarcophagus.
And next thing, they brought this case out. They opened it up, and there it was, this mummified body. You could see it was a woman.
Wow.
You could see it wasn't a man.
Yeah.
You just knew. So I got... Well, the head of Living TV said, get down, Derek, and touch. Because they believed in my, what I do.
Yeah.
And I touched, and the next thing I looked up and I seen the image of a young man. Then I saw this other man. And I started talking about, she was the, she lost this child of a certain age. And you heard all these people from the Egyptian association saying, oh my God, he's talking. And so I solved something for Egypt.
Wow.
And they all come round me, all of them, all these people from the government, and they were singing, holding hands, and just circled around me singing, God, 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 God.
Wow.
It's the truth.
Yeah,
and within a month, I got my agent, I got one, my letter, where I was saying, any time you want to come into Egypt, you got the keys of Egypt.
Brilliant.
You looked after our country, and you were so noble, and you were so lovely, and this and the other. So I'm very proud of that. That to me is like winning the, like these actors and stuff like that in America. What do they call I don't know what they call that. That's just, come on.
The Oscars?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was my Oscar.
Yeah, I can imagine. So,
two questions in the chat room.
So, was there something you wanted to say, Andy?
Yes, Derek, I was wondering if there's anywhere else in the world you'd like to go and do a similar kind of show.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Andy, I'll tell you where we're going, and we're going to go. I'd love you to join me. Where I've just booked, I saw something in the paper, in the weekend papers, and we've always wanted to go to Jordan and Petra.
Ah, yes.
Right, and we're going.
Excellent.
I've just booked it.
You
and
pay it, welcome.
It's not for the television.
No,
I'd love the television. I love us to come out. But we're going there purely and simply through my, well, they're calling and saying, you must go here.
Yeah.
And so we're going. So there's no television cameras as such.
No.
There's no this, that, and the other. And Gwen and I, who's equally on the same sync as me, we're going to go. And she's so excited. And we're going there. And we're just going to experience the first time, the first thing. But we know we're being guided.
It's nice to do a private thing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We do it plenty of times, you know.
Yeah.
It's not always television.
No.
We've been to plenty of places in the world.
Brilliant.
We just wanted to go.
Yeah.
And see and feel.
Yeah. Now, among your accolades, you were the only medium ever to address the famous Oxford Union with a séance. Can you tell us more about this?
About which?
The Oxford Union.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you're the only one who ever went there.
Absolutely. And the only one ever invited. And they said they're not going to invite another one. Isn't that crazy? I must have been that terrible. I must have been that bad. No. Yeah, when my agent phoned me, he said to me, Derek Acorah, how on earth can you be invited by the Oxford Union to go and address students, tutors, and this, that, and the other on your way? And I said, I don't know. So he said, do you want to go? And I said, I got frightened. I said, no, I don't.
No.
I said, because these students who are very intelligent, very, I know the type of people that I work for, and I said, they will tear me to bits. No matter how much proof I give them, they will rip me apart.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said, you know, Derek, I know you. I've known you for years, and you're up for the challenge, aren't you? And I said, well, not really. No. No, I don't. I'll do a pass on this. And he said, I think you're doing wrong. Anyway, he must have phoned Gwen.
Yeah.
And the next day, and Gwen came and said, are you sure you'd want to put a pass on this? This is quite wonderful, you know. And I said, why? For ego, for people to say, okay, Derek Acorah's on the halls of fame on the wall, because every time they do this, they put a photograph of you.
Yeah.
Because when we arrived there, when we eventually, we saw all very, very famous people on the wall that had been interviewed. At what year? And I'm looking at Manson Mandela. I'm looking at the Queen. I'm looking at, you know, in every category. I'm looking at Tom Jones. I'm looking at Frank Sinatra. I'm looking at this, that, and the other. I'm looking at all some of the most wonderful people that's ever been, you know, trying to get people to enjoy the talents. Mm. But for little Derek Acorah,
it must make you feel proud.
Yeah, it doesn't fit. I thought, no. Anyway, I'm down there with a big delegation. I've never had this before.
Yeah.
From my agency, there was about 6 different people, apart from my wife, Gran. She said, we come from the hotel. She said, as we're travelling over, aren't you proud? I said, I'm so proud, love you. I'm sorry, and I got choked up, you know. And we went in and we were met with this very hard, hi, Derek, how are you? Hi, Gwen. Hi, you know, to our agent and this. Everything's going to be fine tonight. We've got a full house. And I went, oh, my God. We didn't know what a full house meant.
No.
Anyway, we went into the main arena, if you like.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was the place where they all met in the ground floor. Then you had the second floor. Then you had the third floor. Then you had the fourth floor. All students.
Wow.
And what have you. I think there was something like 1,600 people.
Wow. Good on you, boy.
And I was brought on by the head of the Students' Union. Mm. And he said he was ready to retire. And he couldn't wait to retire, but he needs to get Derek Acorah on first. The first medium in the world.
Yeah.
Didn't want anyone else. Didn't want Sally Morgan.
No.
Didn't want Colin Fry. Didn't want this person. They wanted Derek Acorah.
Yeah.
And he said, the reason why we want Derek Acorah is because half the students didn't believe in me.
Yeah.
Another half did.
Yeah.
So let's get him and try him and check him out, the real McCoy.
Okay.
And it is a demonstration then. And only 1 hour, and the first 2 said, don't know what you're talking about, don't understand, and what have you. And I thought, oh, I'm getting killed here.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I went to a tutor who was in the audience. And I told about his mum and his dad and his young son, who just recently passed. He stood up and he said, oh, my God, every one of you, my students, know this. I've told you about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. This man's telling the truth.
Yeah.
From that moment on in, it was like heaven. At the end of that hour, every student in that place, every tutor wouldn't let me go home or let me go to my hotel.
Yeah.
Ask me questions. So it was a wonderful experience.
Brilliant.
And I'm on the walls of the great fame of Oxford University.
Good on you. Right, when it comes to your tours, yeah, how do you prepare before you go on stage?
Quite simply, I go into a quietude. Mm-hmm. I have no one come into my dressing room for an hour before the show. And I sit and I meditate.
Okay.
I go into a quietude of meditation, and I ask the spirit world to come very close. Allow the loved ones to come close to me, and not let anything interfere with that.
No.
And just keep me focused on that until the time I finish the show.
Okay. What has been the most bizarre thing asked by an audience member?
The most bizarre?
Bizarre.
It was in... yes. I'll never forget this. It was in Norway. And a lady said to me, "You're talking about my mummy?" And I said, "Yes." And you're very correct. Her personality, this, that, and the other, and what's happened in my life. But mummy left for America and left daddy. What did she do in those other years? And then I asked the mum, and she said, "I only had 7 years. Then when I passed away." She said, "But I had the ball. I did all the things I wanted to do whilst in marriage with her dad, even though I was elderly." And I said, "What does that entail? What do you mean?" She said, "I went out dancing, whereas before I never danced. I went out and had drinks, whereas before I never drank a drink of alcohol. The only thing I didn't do was smoke because I just didn't want to do that."
Yeah.
And she said, "I even tried a one-night stand at 74 years of age." That's the God's truth.
I don't know. Do you prefer doing the tours than the TV work? Is it easier
Yes,
for
I do.
you?
Yes, I do. Always have. Because I was doing it for all those years before television or radio.
Yeah.
That's my, it's not my forte. It's my, realised a lot of years ago, it's what I'm meant to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I assume
You know.
I assume when you're on stage, it's like a waiting room, and they all stand in line to talk to their loved ones. Can you explain the procedure and how it makes you feel at the time? Because the reason why I ask this is because I'm not a medium in no way, shape, or form, but I do tarot readings, and sometimes I do get messages, and it makes me tearful at times.
I get so excited from one evening to the next.
Do you?
Because there's never one evening the same as the self. I always say that to the audience.
Yeah.
In all these years, never one evening is the same as another. And you never know what the spirit people are going to say, because they're all individuals. And I do get excited, especially when I first see them, and they start speaking to me. I'm in a zone, in a place that is untouchable. I feel as if, like, well, I don't know, is it like I'm in a heavenly state?
Yeah.
Because no one can touch me. It's only when I come down and I finish the show, back to the reality, that I have to go back off to a hotel or go home, and it's like,
Yeah. I don't know why I just get a bit tearful. I don't know whether it's because of the atmosphere around me. But
oh, no, I get tearful.
Yeah.
Honestly, after all these years, I get tearful. If something's hitting my solar plexus, the hurt, like two sons. Listen to this. Just recently, last month, before I had a little break, a mum and a dad in the audience with a brother and sister are listening to me bringing through two brothers, two of their sons that died in a terrible, tragic accident.
Oh.
Mum and Dad weren't there with them, nor the brother and sister, because their aunt was driving them. And they went into this ravine. And although the aunt survived, the two boys drowned.
Yeah.
But then to come through and say to Mum, "We're fine, Mum. We're great in this, that, and the other," and start talking about Grandma, who's looking after them now, and Granddad, and this, that, and the other. It blew these people away.
Oh.
They'd never been to an evening with either me or anyone else before. I cried my eyes out.
I bet you did.
As I'm delivering it, I'm crying my eyes. And I went down, I come off the stage and went to them and hugged them. All four of them.
So.
My work is real.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what these ignorant people who are negative thinking, what have you, say about my work is real. I work for spirit.
Yeah. When it
And if
comes,
that other word is God, I work for God.
yeah. Well, when it comes to your showmanship, I've heard a lot of people say to me, and I defend you to the hilt, to be honest with you, but I hear a lot of people saying he's too flamboyant, he's too over the top, and I say,
Yes.
well, in my opinion, perhaps you can explain it a bit better, but in my opinion, if you're talking to one person, giving them a message, the others are going to get bored if you don't bring them into the fold. Explain yourself why you do that.
Look, flamboyant. You wouldn't believe it. If my gran was sitting here alongside me, and my mum was sitting the other side, if I passed the phone over to you, okay, about me as a youngster, they say he's the most quiet, non-interesting sort of young boy.
Yeah.
He's not like Colin, or he's not like Barbara, with a rather, flamboyance, and Derek was the quiet one.
Yeah.
Now, for the quiet one to be taken and to be changed by spirit into my later life, well, it just shows you the change.
Precisely.
So everyone in my family knew me as a young boy growing up. They knew I didn't have this way about me.
No.
That they've seen later on in life and gone, oh my God, that Derek, how's Derek doing this, which proves again is that, okay, I've been, let's say, because I'm meant to do what I do, I've had to change, not a personality, but I've had to change in the way that spirit wants me to change. Now, when I first started doing theatres, everyone feared television, radio, that I wouldn't get anyone in because they could see Derek Acorah, the medium on Most Haunted, Derek Acorah, the medium for that, on Granada, and this, that. But the industry were not ready for it. But then we started getting big crowds of people, like for all the top singers, your Tom Joneses, all the big names and comedians and singers, and they couldn't believe it.
Right.
And, we used to fill out 3,500 seaters, 4,000 seaters, and what have you. And I used to say to Gwen, how's this happening? How's it happening? She said, because it's meant to happen.
Okay.
It's meant to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we went out to Boston. Someone in America, North America, and they made a phone call. He was a multi-millionaire, billionaire, and he said, I come over, I was in England with my ancestors, and we come to see you in a place called Lewisham in England. And I said, yeah. And he said, I thought you were awesome, and I want to book you for a big show in Boston, where I live.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. I said, just make contact with my agents. I said, I don't deal with these things. Anyway, it was arranged, and we flew out. He said, God, Graham was made up. He sent us out on first class on British Airways, and we flew out to Boston. Fabulous big hotel, and this, that, and the other. They drove us in Cadillacs from one place to another to show us. And we did the show that night, and we had 2 days in Boston on them. And I got nearly 9,000 people was in this big place that they beat me.
Yeah.
And that evening, it was unbelievable, because they had, like in Most Haunted Lives, they had all kinds of security people, all ex-SAS and all this. Now they had the same in Boston, but these guys had guns. And they said, after the show, Mr. Acorah, you're going to be inundated. They're just going to go crazy.
Yeah.
We did the show. It was a particularly good night. And they ran me. I mean, literally ran me. 2 security men, arm in arm, ran me through 3 sets of doors to get to the end of the corridor. And even that didn't stop them. They went absolutely crazy. Before I knew it, I had something like 2,000, 3,000 people around me in this like big, massive foyer.
Yeah.
All screaming, asking questions, doing this, doing that. And I didn't really. So, incidentally, I'm going out to do a massive tour of America from August.
Okay. John Cena's in the chat room, and he would like to know if there was one famous person in spirit you could talk to, who would it be and what would you ask them?
Well, this person, without doubt, would have been before she passed. It would have been definitely Mother Teresa. But since she's passed, it most definitely will be Diana.
Diana, bless
Yeah.
her. Yeah. Okay.
Without doubt.
Right.
Because I've got my own understanding of what happened with that lady.
Yeah.
And I'd like the world to know it.
Right. Okay.
Not that I want to upset the heir to the throne or anyone else in that family.
Yeah.
But I would love to be given the opportunity because I know Diana would link with me. I know that.
Right. Brendan Moss would like to ask you, a bit off topic, but do you think UFOs are paranormal or ETs?
Say that again, please.
Brendan says, do you believe or do you think that UFOs are paranormal or just ETs?
Yeah. Well, they're certainly not. I'll tell you that now, Brendan. Okay, it's certainly not paranormal.
Okay.
ETs are a strategy of life that's been concerned around this planet for how long? Who knows? And other planets. There's that many planets in the world, in the atmosphere. I don't like saying galaxy. I don't like saying universe because there's that many of them.
Yeah.
But yes, to me, okay, even though I believe in God and I believe in the experience of what we go through, is that we are part and parcel of certain aspects of certain galaxies, certain planets, for us to arrive at being human beings above the animal kingdom, yes.
Right, okay. The other question I want to ask you is, I've heard you mention about the sleep state before.
Sleep state, yeah.
Sleep state. So what is this, and is it connected to reincarnation?
Well, sleep state is a thing that every one of us have to go through, like my mum did, my dad, my Gwen's mum and dad, and whatever, and anyone else, is because of the hurts of the physical body. When the spirit leaves the physical body, it still retains certain hurts. When we go over there, we meet our family, big family reunion, fabulous. It builds us up and goes, oh yeah, we're excited and back with family again. Then we're told we have to go through a sleep state restoration. Not unlike when you go into hospital, where they put you on this, they put you on to make you feel nice, better. Get this again. A spiritual sleep state.
Right. Okay.
It doesn't take that long.
No.
When we come out of it, we've lost all our hurt. All we're thinking about is the loved ones we've left behind. We're feeling on top of the world. We're feeling invigorated. We're feeling younger. We're feeling absolutely fabulous.
Right. Okay, I look forward to that.
Well, everyone should.
Yes.
Everyone should because, you know, when we leave here, it's not the end. It's a further existence. It's an extension of who we are. And we go and enjoy it in a greater expanse of things. Can you imagine, can all the listeners imagine this, where the way we live in a materialistic world, where we need money, we worry about that. We need to eat, we worry about that.
Yeah.
We need to earn money to, you know, look after ourselves. Just basic things.
Yeah.
We need to do this, we need to do that. When we bring children on the earth, we need to look after them. All these material things are gone. So what are we left with worry? Zilch, nothing.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how we'd feel with all that?
I know how I'd feel. Relieved.
Come on, here we go.
Yep. Yep, I would definitely feel relieved. Okay, well, back in later part of last year, you launched a new television show called The Past Hunters.
Yes.
What made you take up another ghost hunting show?
Well, I was cajoled into it.
Right.
Because after my last experience with Most Haunted, which turned very sour, which wasn't my doing.
No.
It was through jealousy.
Okay.
Over I'd become too popular as a medium on that sort of program for the people who caused the program, who thought they were going to be the bee's knees or the, what's the word, the stars of the show. And once they realised that was going to be them, then it was turned around and have a go at Derek Acorah. Okay, that's all gone now.
That's all gone now.
Matter. But what caused me to start and do, Past Hunters? Past Hunters wasn't a particularly professional sort of show, 12 series, 12 shows. However, I worked with very genuine, honest people.
Yeah.
And I tried to explain to them how we should go about this. And anyway, it went very well. In actual fact, as amateurish as what it may have come across, it come number one on the new television show, a couple of shows, and it never went below 3 or 4.
No.
In which case they've now commissioned the second series.
Right, that was a question from John Cena. He was wondering whether there was any more Past Hunters. So there is going to be another one.
We did 12. Now they've asked us to do 20.
Okay. Well, that's good then. So you enjoy doing it then?
Oh, absolutely. And not only that, there's an American organisation or group or company and what have you that I've loved it that much that they've asked Past Hunters to go on to their 7th series show, just as like, a one-off. And we've agreed to it. And the contracts have been signed. So in August, we're going out to do a one-off with this group of people who've got 7 series with American television.
Brilliant. See, everything's going well for you then?
Absolutely. What can I say? The only bad thing that's happened this year
was
Colin. When we had to say au revoir to our Jack, our dog.
Oh, right, yeah. I thought you was going to say Colin. Sorry.
No. Colin's bad enough.
Yeah.
But Jack before Colin.
Right.
One after the other.
Yeah.
Jack was our beautiful poodle, big fella, standard poodle, who just suddenly fell asleep one night on the settee. We came down and he was asleep.
Oh, bless him.
And then 2 weeks later, my mate, my good friend, very good friend, Colin, passed away with this cancer.
Yeah.
But you see, my strong memories of my very good friend physically were I worked with Colin in a joint show at the Benidorm Palace in Spain at Christmas time. And what a wonderful evening we had together.
Yeah, he fought, didn't he, really?
Yeah, and he felt sick that night. That was when it started.
Right.
And he came back to England. Within 2 days, he'd been diagnosed with this cancer of the lung, which was too far gone. And he phoned me up and he said, Derek, he used to call me Degs. Degs. He said, what do you think? And I said, well, he said, I've got cancer. Oh, no, Colin. He said, yeah. He said, doctor said, don't quit smoking. You're done in.
Yeah.
And I said, well, Carl, I don't know what to say. And he said, well, you're not saying anything. All you've got to say is, what I'm going to say, I've thoroughly enjoyed working with you for the last 16 years. Because we used to do shows together, you see.
Okay.
And I said, Colin, I don't know what to say.
No.
You don't have to say nothing, he said.
No.
You're my buddy. You're my mate. And you'll always be my mate. And I'll always watch over you when I go over.
Okay.
which he does.
Good. I'd like to pass on a message to you from Felix Garnett, who's in the chat room, and she said, "Can you please tell Derek that I think he's great?"
Ah, very lovely.
Okay. Now, your last question for this evening, Derek. Oh, there's something afterwards, sorry. In our last interview, you mentioned about a book coming up.
Yes.
Is there any more news on this? And if
it is.
And
it's
what?
Taken some... Go on, carry on. Go on.
And what can we expect from you in the future?
Okay. Well, there is. It's taken a long time. HarperCollins are, the people who publish, have been on at me for the last 4 years.
Right.
And because I'm not literary talent, this is for the whole world to know this. Even though I've got all the contents in my mind, I'm absolutely crap and rubbish at literary words. So I've always relied on my lovely wife, Gwen. Gwen is the writer. She's the person that writes because she's got literary talent. And I don't mind saying that.
Yeah.
HarperCollins don't want me to say it. So I've been at Gwen, and Gwen said she's been too busy because she works all behind the scenes for me, doing everything.
She's your right arm, isn't she?
Your what? I don't know where. I wouldn't be here on the air for her.
No.
But anyway.
Okay.
We got 2/3 through the book. It's going to be finished by the summertime.
Right.
Come September, it's going to come out. The greatest autobiography of the truth that a medium can ever speak about of our experiences through all these 40-odd years.
I'm looking forward to it.
And the truth, more importantly. For the 10 years of hairs I've had through those despicable people.
I'm looking forward to it, Derek.
Terrible things about me. We're given the truth through not just me speaking, but, people, very important people who were in very important positions at the time that those lines were said about me have stepped forward and given their word and photographs of them.
We're going to have to stop you there, Derek, as Gwen will be having a go at me.
Okay.
I don't want to edit the show again.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's been wonderful speaking to you.
One thing before you go. Steve, did you want to say something?
I'm not a medium, Derek, and I don't profess to be so, but occasionally I get stuff being told to me.
I can't hear him.
I should come round over to Sue's microphone. Okay, so can you hear me now, Derek?
Yes, that's better.
Okay, brilliant. I'm not a medium, and I don't profess to be, but I do sometimes get told stuff.
Yes.
And like the lady you mentioned earlier that said that about health,
yes.
I'm being warned about health around you.
Go on, you tell me about that. Go on.
Yes. I mean, I've been thinking there in the show, and I'm not sure whether I've got this right because I seem to remember that you have been ill of late, but I'm not. I think it's around you rather than you yourself.
I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Just to make you aware of that.
Yes, thank you so much. I am aware of it. It's not become totally apparent, but I do know of it. Yes. And very good. Your sensitivity is telling you the truth.
Okay. Felix just wants me to tell you a little story, if you don't mind.
Go on.
If you can help. She said, I recently met my mum and dad, both deceased, in a dream. A few weeks after my brother died last Christmas. Mum and Dad seemed well, and they showed me a room where my brother was asleep, and I sat with him for a while. Unfortunately, I got quite cross and asked my parents why they had put me through so much grief with their funerals and so on, when they clearly are not dead. They were a bit amused, but reassured me they will be fine. She's asked me to mention that to you. She'd need a bit of advice on that, if you can.
Well, look, tell her not to take it too seriously.
Okay.
In the sense of the way it was she experienced.
Right.
What Mum and Dad's trying to say is everything's fine. You know, everything's like, you know, we use that word, look, I'm not worried, I'm not bothered, I'm fine and stuff. That's the way she'd look at this. Because, look, they're living in a new dimension, a new realm, a new atmosphere. And because it's so nice and good, far greater than here, you know, it's no wonder they don't worry about things. It's only back here we have to, look, they've released all those things I talked about before, materialism. They've released all the things about health. They've released all the things about family problems. They've released all the things about litigation, about neighbours arguing. They haven't got that anymore. So no wonder it's a heaven. So tell your good lady, okay, the person who said this, that when we go from here, it's a different ball game.
Okay. John just wants to quickly say he would love to see you team up with the Haunted Collector. That's like John Safris, is it, in America? Yeah. He said that would be brilliant.
Well, I'm going out there, and you know what? I can't wait to do it because, I mean, naturally, years ago, I went to California, you know, LA and stuff, and did live shows and theatres. Yeah. I did a little bit of television and what have you. Before you, John Edwards, and before all these other things, you know, other people out there. But this time, it seems so concrete that the northeast of America, New York, Chicago, I'm going to do all those things, and I'm doing a television program and what have you. And at last, and Sam confirmed it. Sam said to me, we're now on Sunday. On Thursday, he said, now is your last time to work for Spirit this next 4 years, and then we'll allow you to rest and retire.
Can you just quickly say hello to Vicky, please, one of your biggest fans?
You see, hiya, Vicky. Thank you for being a big fan. I love you. I may not have seen you, but thank you so much from my heart and my mind. Keep being a big fan, Vicky. Big fan of Spirit.
Okay. Well, thank you, Derek. It's been brilliant having you on the show again. It's lovely talking to you, and I'll have to get to see you again. Last time we saw you was in Liverpool, but yeah, it would be great to see you again on a one-to-one basis. I don't mean reading. I mean friendly basis.
Absolutely.
And Gwen. So give our love to Gwen, and you take care. And I wish you everything. You know, all the best to you both.
Will you tell everyone, or they're listening? Tell them, let them hear this. I'm going to have 11 years peace when the truth of my autobiography comes out about the people that have hurt, the only people in my life that have hurt until they stopped me working for Spirit, and Spirit now have got the chance to get back at them.
Well, I'd like a signed copy then, Derek.
Yeah. You'll have one.
Can we get him to confirm that it sounds like he's retiring in 4 years?
Can we just confirm that you're not retiring, are you?
Well, it's been talked about and what have you, and I've come to terms with, there's only 3 people involved here. One, firstly, is my wife, my lovely, and the other is Sam. And I got to such a low ebb the beginning of last year, and I said, I'm now going to retire. And since then, I've never had anything come into my home as much as the Spirit people. Sam, my mum, my dad, my mum-in-law, father-in-law, are all saying to me, you have got to work on. So I'm not retiring yet.
Okay, my love. Well, you take care, and I look forward to your book. I'd love a signed copy.
I'll send one to you, lovey.
Oh, that'd be great. I'll speak to you soon.
Okay. Lovely to speak to you all, okay?
Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Derek.
Bye-bye.
No, Derek.
Bye.
Well, that was Derek Acorah, and we love having him on the show.
That sounded very much like the Spirit saying they're going to give him 4 years and then they're going to give him a rest.
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like.
It sounded like he was saying he's got another 4 years with Spirit and then he's going to retire from that side of it.
But no, I don't know. But yeah, I must admit, I've been waiting for this book since I first heard about it, so I'm hoping it does come out. But you
So
know,
nice to get that side of things.
it would.
The others have had such sort of any organs of publicity, and they've had their chance to say publicly. They've said on forums, they've said in their programs, and Derek's kept quiet. He's waited his time, waited till he's got everything set and straight in his mind, and then he's have his own say back. And I think that's the thing. It's the old, wait for things to die down, then just have your say. Much more impact. So it'll be interesting to see what he has to say. Definitely.
And he comes across as a very genuine guy.
He does, and he's very relaxed. He was relaxed tonight as well. So and he's very passionate about what he does.
Mm-hmm,
very
definitely.
passionate, and you can't knock a guy for that if they're passionate in the work they do.
Well, that's it exactly. When the guy's been doing this for a long time, and it would be easy to become just a bit jaded and a bit kind of, just over and over the same kind of thing, but still have that passion and drive for what he does. It's commendable, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and I'm very pleased that he agreed to come on our show again. So, but brilliant. Just to let you know what's happening next week, we have a Winter Lake. Not literally. We have a gentleman called Winter Lake, and he's a writer and practitioner of satanic black magic. He has published 5 books on the subject of Satanism, remote viewing, and remote influencing. He is also a psychic that has assisted law enforcement in the capacity of finding the missing or the murdered, and has occasionally assisted in locating murderers. He is also an avid screenwriter, ghostwriter, and biographer. We're going to be talking to him about remote viewing
and he can do the rest of it.
Influencing. Whether we actually touch on the satanic part of it, I don't know.
And if we do, it's all Andy's, because it go right over my head.
I'm not saying a word.
But yes,
discussed this man previously, but
we might actually talk a little bit about his capacity at finding people. So, but most of it will be about remote viewing. So
I think that's the interesting stuff. Definitely remote viewing. I'd like to hear what he has to say about that particularly. So, but yeah, it's it would be interesting to talk to him about some of the stuff that he does and this remote viewing. We tried to get somebody on before, but they couldn't make it. So remote viewing is... They got lost.
Yeah, they did. They got
couldn't
lost.
see their way.
No, they couldn't. I don't know. But yeah, so... But as, again... Oh, excuse me. Again, a great interview with Derek. He never does let you down. And he's very open to asking questions. But again, if you want to hear about the most haunted years, just go to our YouTube page and you'll find the Derek Acorah interview, which lasted an hour and a half. There was quite a bit there, and I think you'll be very shocked to actually hear some of the stuff that he actually mentions, to be honest with you.
The things were not as they seemed, were they?
No. You heard it, didn't you, Andy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's one of the early ones I sort of began. That's how I started off with. Remember, sort of post-interviews, phone calls, wasn't it? I was used to come and have a little sort of my own take on what I'd heard. And Derek was one of the first that I really thought, I've got to say something. Because this guy, I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with everybody. I didn't have a particularly wonderful opinion of the guy because of what I'd heard and seen on TV. Precisely. And to hear Derek's side of the story really changed my views on Mr. Acorah. Obviously I have my own certain reservations, obviously, but I was very impressed with the way his honesty, his openness, his willingness to discuss things I thought he would try and brush off and not talk about, and he was more happy to talk about them. So I was impressed, definitely, for that, for him being willing to talk to us about all these things. So,
and that was
like you, I'm looking forward to his book because I want to hear his side of the story, because there's obviously a very different story to be told. Yeah,
and that was a time when we used to get lots of people in the chat room asking questions and the like, and there was quite a few there that on the night that said he'd actually changed their opinion of him.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I wasn't the only person he won over as such, definitely.
So I've just put the link in there for everyone if they want to listen to it. So, but if you Google it and go to if you Google the Derek Acorah interview and go to videos, we're actually the third one in the link. And as I say, there was about an hour and a half, the interview, at least.
It is one of our most popular YouTube recordings we've ever done, actually.
And, we've just lost everybody in the chat room because we're all going to listen to that.
All buggered off.
It is very eye-opening, I'll be honest with you. But
Yeah,
as you can understand, Derek wants to put the past behind him. That's why we didn't really want to talk about the most haunted years tonight.
Well, I think he said more about it himself than we intended.
Yes, I must admit,
Yes,
which is why I had to throw Quen's name in the mix because
I think he was heading that way. Yes.
he was heading that way, and I thought I don't want Gwen having a go at me again.
Now beating about the head, saying you said you weren't going to talk about it.
So, and he went, okay, no problem. So, because it obviously, it was, it's something that's tried to destroy him, really.
Oh,
in
yes,
some
it would
way,
be.
you
It's one of those things, they weren't just satisfied with the idea of him no longer being involved in their show and just move on. They wanted to discredit him. I just don't know why, but so much. I mean, we'll hear his side of the story, obviously, but they did seem to go above and beyond for reasons that didn't really make an awful lot of sense. Yeah, okay, Derek was very popular, as we were saying last week. I think, in a sense, both sides missed the simple fact that together, him and, Mrs. What's-Her-Face, who's now Yvette, I can't forget her name for a second there, they were a brilliant team together. They worked together really well.
No,
and that's the shame. That was what was lost. And for all the different mediums and psychics they've had on the show since then, they've never recaptured that.
They did bounce off each other quite well.
Oh, brilliantly, yeah. And they've never been able to replicate that effect. I mean, I think it was more Derek than Yvette. It was more his side of it, if you like. But because on other ways, you can see her with others, and it's not so great. You see him with others, and it still works, but not as I don't think ever as well as it did with those two. That was the real heyday of that series, and
yeah, Brendan's
it
just
never
said
recovered from that.
Brendan's just said it's like out without deck.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
that was the thing. They've never recaptured it.
No, this is it. But as I say, next week we have Winter Lake on. That's Lake, Winter Lake, and hopefully it's another interesting interview that we have with him. Now, don't forget, if you are a fan of the show, we have our issue 8 of our magazine that accompanies the show. Is out now with contributions from many names with the topics we cover, plus our regular features and much more. Just click the link on the menu bar to view our online digital flip page version or download a PDF version, and you can find those listening on the YouTube at www.ktpf.co.uk. So what's next is...
Did you manage to get your conspiracy bits done, Andy?
Yes.
I've got a couple, yeah. Got a couple of bits, nothing too exciting.
Here he comes.
But first, I've got to find them. Haha, I've lost them. Ha! That's really helpful. Hold on 2 seconds. They're doing very strange things now. I was just waffled for a second. My computer decided to act very odd. It's a conspiracy in itself. There we go. Let's give that a try. Copy, and here we go. Got 2 windows open. That's always what I do. Paste. And there we go. First one tonight. A bit of a UFO type thing with strange objects being filmed hovering around the sun, no less. UFO filmed hovering around the sun are proof of aliens in space, conspiracy theorists claim. Well, I don't know. Aliens are controlling the amount of light and heat Earth gets from the sun, UFO enthusiasts have claimed. The footage taken from the Solar Heliospheric Observatory spacecraft is apparently proof that extraterrestrials are harvesting the sun's rays for an unknown purpose. Posted on YouTube by UFO hunter Ms. Meisenhausen74, the video is a compilation of stills zooming in on several white dots circling around the sun. The video was picked up by our good friend, we must get this guy on our show, Scott C. Waring of UFO Sightings Daily. We've got to try and get him on sometime. I think you just have a chat with him. He said this clip reminded him of a news story he read years before about 2 Russian scientists who have discovered UFOs bigger than our moon, carrying out daily 24-hour operations around the sun for reasons unknown. Now, I must admit, I did have a very brief Google of that to try and I can find that story, and I couldn't find it. So I don't know where it's listed, the idea of these giant UFOs that the Russians are supposed to have seen. But anyway, Unfortunately, Waring said, all trace of that particular news story has long since vanished from the web. Now, isn't that convenient? Exactly, I couldn't find it either. So I wonder, because surely he cited on his own website about this UFO sighting, it's bigger than the moon, but apparently not. Anyway, nevertheless, the new video and the story he read several years previously is enough for Waring to conclude they are out there, around our sun, doing God knows what. Hey. They may actually be controlling the sun to keep a steady temperature here on Earth, or they could be harvesting a very rare and powerful heavy element. Let's hope they don't make a mistake and barbecue our planet. The theory that aliens are conducting clandestine operations around Earth's life sources are popular amongst UFO hunters. Now, I must admit, that's not something I've really come across, so I don't know if anyone else has, the idea of aliens doing things to our sun. I'm not really aware of that one. In January, alien spotter Tyler Glockner, who runs the YouTube channel Secure Team 10, claimed footage taken from NASA's Helio observer showed a UFO 100 times the size of Earth sucking off plasma from the sun. Apparently. Not that I found that one either. But there we go. So, good old Scott C. Waring. I haven't mentioned him for a good few weeks, but he's back in our little collection of stories. What do you think, guys? Do you think that's going to be definitely aliens nicking energy from the sun, or are they affecting our sun? What do you think?
I think they're clutching at straws, to be honest, from the pictures they showed there anyway.
Well, absolutely. It could be absolutely anything, couldn't it, that's sort of hovering around by the sun.
Until they can get a better picture of what they say it is, it could just be anything.
It is incredible how much they can conclude, too many C's in that, from such a small piece of evidence, small piece of footage. It's ridiculous, the huge story they can build up based on a couple of funny looking little dots bouncing around by the sun. It's very strange, isn't it? Anyway, if you want strange, try this one. Real conspiracy job. Hillary Clinton is a Satanist and Illuminati defector. Mary Ann, whoever she is, claims she was present when Vince Foster was murdered in July 1993. She says Hillary Clinton and Foster were having a screaming match verging on a brawl in his office in the White House. He had threatened to expose her whitewater dealings. A Secret Service agent raised his gun and shot him point blank. We summarise two 2008 interviews with Mary Ann as a reminder that Hillary Clinton is a high-ranking member of the Illuminati cult. There you go. There you have it official. As well as a criminal and a traitor. She's also a Satanist who's probably participated in depraved activities such as those described below. Mary Ann had been present in the White House when Reno and Madeleine Albright, where they dismembered a male child. He was stabbed in the heart and they watched him bleed to death, according to Henry Marco, PhD. The Illuminati sacrifice children in rituals 8 times a year. Mary Ann, an Illuminati defector, has been groomed for high-profile office, was told me in September 21st, 2008. I am summarising. This is not me, this is what it says here. My 2000 interview here. Another 14 months later, much of what is said has simply been outrageous. I can't vouch for any of it, but if it's consistent with the testimony of other defectors, Sveti, Sue Ford, and Kathy O'Brien, fellow supposed defectors, the Illuminati count on peoples to be incredulous, so that's their protection. The more androgynous their crimes, the safer they are. Ingregarious. They got very bright white writing on a dark blue background. It's actually hurting my eyes to try and read this, but I'm just amazed by it. Mary Ann, obviously a pseudonym I assume, sounds convincing to me. And that's not me personally, this is the interviewer, Henry Mancow. I've lost my page now.
Why would anybody deny?
Thank you. That's where I was. Yeah, one of the most powerful people in the world. Decide for yourself. Also, both interviews, although 14 months apart, were consistent. People who invent such stories really can keep track of them. Yes, they can. It's called writing them down. And I do love that picture they've got of Hillary Clinton next to it. So that's the most bizarre face.
It is, isn't it?
It's really
she looks possessed.
This is about to reveal her reptile face underneath, no doubt. But if you click on the last bit for continue, it takes you to another page where it's a lot easier to read because it's black writing on white background. Mary Ann claims she was present when blah, 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 Vince Foster was murdered, and etc., etc. The Illuminati sacrifice these children 8 times a year. Scrolling down to get past that bit, there are also sexual rituals involving young children. They are believed to increase power and create fear and solidarity in members. And they have a picture of George Bush Jr. with his daughter with the supposed satanic symbol of the first finger, the little finger being raised in the air. It's also the symbol of an American football team. So I think that might be what she's actually doing there. But anyway. Illuminati members live double lives. At night they engage in these satanic rituals. By day they are found in all walks of life. Medicine, education, psychology, therapy, banking, law enforcement, government, technology, military, charities and religion. They are everywhere. The worst are in the news on a daily basis, posing as leaders. They are the elite of Freemasonry. Good old Freemasons get thrown in there again. They're generational Satanists, which means that they have to be born into it. You can't join. The children are elevated and trained Mormons. So they get the Mormons in there as well now. And the Nation of Islam have parallel beliefs, she said. I'm not going to read the rest of this because this just gets even more silly as we go along. And I wonder sometimes how they actually believe they can get away with putting this stuff up, because there must be some kind of defamation laws that could protect people from this raving nonsense. But it just seems to go on and on. It's unmonitored, uncontrolled. It's just people putting up their crazy theories. And, of course, every crazy theory has their crazy followers. Yeah, and these ideas start to spread. But
also, Hillary Clinton is actually running for president at the moment, or trying to get the nomination for it anyway.
Yep. She's running neck and neck with what's his face, Bernie Sanders. So I think this is all about, really. It is definitely about trying to rubbish people before they go into office. There's another one which I've lost. I found and lost again, which is an interesting read. It's a quote from the other side of the fence from Donald Trump, and I can't find it. I've lost it again. Basically, in an interview in 1998, he said, basically, to paraphrase it, if he ever stood for office, it would be for the Republican Party, because they're basically a bunch of idiots who believe anything. They're like the lowest level of intelligence of all the major political parties. Well, there's only 2 in America. But he basically slagged off the Republican Party, saying they're a bunch of idiots, and if I ever stood for office, it would be for them, because they'd believe any rubbish I came out with. And lo and behold, what is happening? He's now the front runner for the Republican Party. There we go.
Can I also ask, I know there's very little solid proof, shall I say, that the Illuminati actually exists, if they ever did. When did they become Satanist?
Well, yes, they managed to throw in just about everything you could possibly think of in there as being a description of them, what they could be. They're also Mormons are linked to it, the Nation of Islam are linked into it. They're Satanists, therefore they must be devil worshipping, baby munching murderers. And I know Felix is probably getting rather angry at the whole linking of Satanism with baby murdering, but unfortunately that's how these things are often presented. I found the actual quote, by the way. Let me just read this out to you. This is Donald Trump in 1998 in the People magazine. He said, and I quote, "If I were to run, I'd run as a Republican. They're the dumbest group of voters in the country. They love anything on Fox News. I could lie and they'd still eat it up. I bet my numbers would be terrific." And lo and behold, what is happening? Exactly that. Yes, so it does make you wonder, doesn't it?
As for your last one, Brendan Moss says she's off her head on mushrooms.
Absolutely. Clinton or the writer? The writer's got a few things to answer about there. Frederick, whatever his name is. This is all very disturbing, but there we go. That's my brief collection tonight. So a bit quick because I was a bit busy last weekend. I was away all weekend, but there we go. There's a couple for me.
And JW said, have you seen the new program preview by J.J. Abrams and Stephen King on Saving Kennedy?
No, I haven't. Anything about that?
Aha. You will have to tell him more, JW.
Did you say that was the last one, Andy?
Send him a PM.
That is it for me, just a couple.
Okay.
Here we go.
That's it. Have you? You've not heard that one, have you?
And something on Kennedy that Andy hasn't picked up on yet.
Yes.
I know Steve King has actually written a book on the topic, like a fictionalized account of events. It's like a version. It's not attempted to be a genuine history book. It's just like an odd novel. But obviously they're going forward and making it into a film. The looks of it, or a TV show. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure John will be able to tell you some more on a PM.
That's something I forgot to mention, actually. I heard a very good theory on what happened. You know, I mentioned before the magic bullet, the problem with this bullet that seems to cause 7 wounds all by itself and moves around people's bodies and changes direction.
Yes.
Well, I saw one of the X-Men films at the weekend, the Days of Future Past, and one of the most recent ones, and apparently it was actually Magneto who made the bullet follow the strange path through Kennedy and Connolly's body. His supernatural powers was able to direct the bullet to do all the damage it did from one bullet. So there you go. That's how it happened. It was actually Magneto moving the bullets around.
Yes.
I thought it was a good theory. Not.
Well, if Magneto actually existed, it would be possible.
I don't spoil it by saying that.
Well, I know what Magneto's powers can do.
It's a good film, by the way. I enjoyed that. I also discovered I'd seen the Transformers film in the wrong order. It didn't matter what order you see their films in; it still made sense, which is quite funny. I discovered I'd actually seen number 3 before I'd seen 2, and it didn't even notice there was inconsistencies in the stories. It's like each one's individual. But, yeah, so.
Yes. JJ said it's coming to Sky, the Kennedy program.
Ah, well, I have got Sky, so I shall keep an eye out for it.
Okay.
Yeah, have a look on the planner for new series. You might see it on there.
I shall have a look.
That's assuming it's going to be a series and not a one-off program.
Right,
Yeah, probably
guys.
short.
If you are available on the 2nd and 3rd of April this year, why don't you get yourself to Rixton with Glazebrook Community Hall in Warrington, where they're holding their very first Weird Weekend North. And they will be, it's for anyone interested in ghosts, 14 fairies, folklore, cryptozoology and other fascinating stuff. Just 14 miles from Manchester, not Maidstone, for just 14 miles from Manchester and less than 30 miles from Liverpool, the Weird Weekend North is easy to get to with excellent motorways and transport links. It's a 2-day event. I think it's £15 a day or £20 for 2 days. It gives investigators a chance to share their experiences and findings with like-minded people, and is also an ideal introduction to newcomers to the world of the unusual and promises to be a fantastic weekend. You can go to glenvaudrey.wix.com/weird-weekend-north, or just Google Weird Weekend North. I'm sure it will come up, and you can book your tickets there. So we'll be there. We're taking some filming, so we'll be filming there, so we might see you. Now, don't forget, as from the end of this month, we are celebrating 4 years, and we have decided to take a break. So over the summer period, we will be broadcasting every 3rd Sunday of the month, although the May edition will be the 4th Sunday due to a 5-week month. And we're going to have, the one we've got in May is all about the Pendle Witches, so that should be good, shouldn't it, Andy?
It will indeed, definitely, yes.
So we will be taking April off because we need to decorate the office and rip it apart and put a new carpet down and stuff. So the time off will give us a bit of time to do what we've got to do decorating wise. So that's going to give us a few bits to do. So hopefully when we come back we will be all refreshed and whatever. And we're going to be having a change round as well. So hopefully. So yes. So that there is a method in my madness. So
I'll take your word for that.
Eh?
I'll take your word for that.
So we're going to see how things pan out over the summer months and take it from there. So, but that's about it for tonight, I'm afraid. Did you want to tell us about your weekend?
No, that was it. I was just mentioning the fact I went through Warminster, really. That was the best bit about it. So I had a good hunt around, picked up lots of interesting books and stuff like that. It was a nice weekend. But it was the Warminster stuff. I thought it was quite fascinating to discover myself in the town without even realising it was the right town.
So, well, that's all right then. So it's a small town, is it?
Yeah, not particularly, nothing remarkable about it, really. Just as it seems fairly modern. I mean, obviously our parts are older, but I think a lot of it grew up fairly recently. But it was the fact you were in a small, kind of shallow valley between two small hills, and just from stuff I've read over the years about the idea of earth energy sparking from one summit of a hill to another one, causing like a lightning-like effect between one point and the other point, and in certain circumstances may create that kind of sight of anomalous objects and lights in the sky. And so it was just a potential theory that I'd read of previously, and seeing the hills either side made me think of it. So, yeah.
All right. That page I was telling you about at the top of the show that I was invited to, by Jim Pennison, was the Rendlesham Forest Incident First Responders page of 1980. So I don't know what's going on, but this should indeed be a unique enlightened... there's a lecture coming up.
There you
were
go.
right. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, there's a lecture coming up. Where is the lecture? It's going to be in... it's in Los Angeles.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
May not be making that one.
So, but either way, there's a lecture coming up. But so yeah, it was just quite interesting that we was actually invited to it. I was invited to it. I don't know why, but so as obviously, like you said, it's being brought to the forefront again. So
Yeah.
have a
Well, it's
great
one of
week,
those ones-
David. So I hope to see you next week. But as I say, that's it from us tonight. So we hope you've enjoyed the show, and we have had, as we have enjoyed your company, and look forward to seeing you again next week from 8 p.m. on www.ktpf.co.uk, Worsley Radio and DM Radio.
And thanks for listening to the KTPF Community Talk Show, which is supported by Phenomenal Magazine and Beyond Parazine.
Okay, so what you got planned for this week, Andy?
Not a lot. Usual working this week. I meet up with an old friend at the weekend, so up to London on Saturday and have a good hunt around the bookshops. But other than that, not a lot really. Just getting back to work.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us in the chat room and for your questions this evening. We hope you'll have plenty for us next week as well. And until next time, it's good night from me.
And it's good night from her.
And it's good night from me.
Okay, and we'll see you next week when we're, as I said, our guest will be Winter Lake. So until next time, all that's left to say is keep the paranormal friendly.
Paranormal friendly.
Good night and God bless.
This is where it's at.
From ghoulies and ghosties and long-legged beasties and things that go bump in the night, visit our ghost store, and next time you might be able to show what just gave you a fright.
So for all of your investigation needs, with over 100 products in stock waiting for dispatch within 24 hours, you need to visit theukghoststore.com.